What's up, guys? My name's Eli, and as usual, I'm here with my partner Shay, and welcome back to another episode of the Nani Network, the podcast where we give you the unbiased, unfiltered, but full of love opinion on anime, 2 shows at a time.
That's right, from the underdog's journey to the darkest tale, let's see where your favorite anime lands on the Nani Network scale.
So this episode is about to be lit. Cause we're gonna be talking about the remainder of Fire Force. As you guys know, we've been following this series every 5 episodes as it goes through its first season 2. Is there ever a double season fucking 2? As they go through their season 2, we've been documenting it every 5 episodes. And so now we are going to wrap up the remainder of the series. We have the last 9 episodes sitting in our back pocket.
For anyone who was watching with us or watching in general, you know that Fire Force, especially this season, they were pulling out all the stops. Literally. They pulled out all the freaking stops. Mm-hmm. It was done in
what is lube?
When we watched season 1, we watched the entire thing after it was released, so we got that craving filled. But for season 2, we had to wait episode after episode for them to release weekly, and it was so anxiety inducing. Okay,
it was a new form of torture. Not a new form. It was an old form of torture that I have not experienced for such a fucking long time. I enjoy watching this anime so much that literally I hated it. Sometimes we would let episodes accumulate so we could watch it in bulk, so we won't be scratching after like what's gonna happen next.
Literally,
so we could get little pieces of the arc like in completion.
Watching it in real time was disgusting, because as we watched like the last couple episodes just now, it's just like, goddamn, I didn't even realize like that was things that happened in the beginning of season 2. I'm like, I thought that was a completely different season. Like, I'm thinking that happened ages ago, because they fit so much content into this season. It was incredible. So wonderfully done. We're gonna stop raving now and actually get into what happens. So we ended off the last episode at, 16?
Yeah.
Well, at
15. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about episodes 16 through 24 now. So let's jump into it. So we left off with
the 6th Adola burst being born, and him...
I was going to say being traumatized.
Yo, either or, both are applicable to this little boy. And so Nautica is setting it off at Hajime Labs right now. He has been, plugged or pinged by fucking Haumea, and she's just here to wreak havoc. So she basically used her control over frequencies and waves to project some sort of shit into his head that manipulates him.
She scrambled his brain.
He was already seeing Rekka. And now he's seeing like Rekka, like visions of his mom, like all this fucked up shit. And everything is just telling him that he needs to blow. And his Adola burst, to me, what it looks like is he is basically the nuke. He is the end all be all. Everyone seems to have a different thing. Like Haumea controls electricity. Shinra is the devil's footprint. Sho can control time and things of that nature. So he must be like the trump card, like the nuke. Because as we can see from our people who aren't pyrokinetics, aka Obi and Licht and Vulcan, they were in extreme danger. Once he started setting it off and increasing his power, Vulcan said, hey guys, well, Licht said, we're about to burn up from radiation.
Yeah, he said he's radioactive.
He said, this is radioactive. And Vulcan said, hey, my machines are picking up that this dude isn't only just radioactive, his radioactivity is increasing by the second.
She's gonna blow!
Let alone that we have to depend on fucking Arthur to save us.
He was like an atomic bomb. About to go off. So and the thing is that, again, is like when villains do dickhead shit like this, it's just like they said if he goes off, he's killing everyone. I was gonna say in the vicinity, but not in the
200 kilometers.
Yeah,
or something
he
like
was
that.
Basically gonna destroy
a giant chunk
of the city, right? Because the new Tokyo Empire is like that's literally it. It's like the size of the Bronx. So you can't afford to be chopping off no pieces. So
let alone have a huge section be radioactive. That shit doesn't go away for decades.
Listen, so they said, and y'all already got
just outside your doorstep is already radioactive.
Yes!
Now you want the next door neighbor's house to be?
So, they said that everyone in the area is going to be killed, and there's white clad in the area, and y'all can't. Okay, so some of them can get away, but not all of you can get away. Like, not everyone has the ability to teleport. So you are endangering your. Not that they care about camaraderie, but you're endangering your own comrades. And Haumea futzed off, flounced away, and was like, "Bye, Sharon. You can clean up the mess."
She's like, "I didn't know it was gonna be all this now."
Literally, and it's like, turn it off, bitch. I mean, I don't know if she can even turn it off, but I'm like. Why do it in the first place?
So it ultimately leads up to a team up where it once was a fight between the white clad Hijima and Company 8 to now a team up between Hijima and Company 8. They had that guy who was basically torturing Naraku and
the puppet master.
And the puppet master. They were all trying to go against and stop Naraku from annihilating everybody. But ultimately it's Sharon who fucking body-yaddy-yaddies these motherfuckers. Sharon, oh my god.
He gained a lot of respect from me in this scene because he was just like, he's one of those guys that takes their job really seriously.
Yo, OD seriously.
Yeah. So Sharon, as you guys already know, is Inca's protector. So all of the Adola burst users get assigned a protector. Sharon is Inca's protector. So technically he's only responsible for
Haumea's protector.
Haumea's protector. So technically he's only responsible for her, but he said no. I want to play it a month, okay? He said my job is a protector, period.
Of the Adola burst.
And he said I have to protect them. And he started screaming. It was a really great moment when he started. He's like, Shinra, Inca, Haumea, Naraku. He's naming all of that. He's like, I am your protector. It was a really great scene, and it can be annoying if you have to work with somebody like that, but when he
not real life emotions.
No, I hate coworkers like that.
Are you the boss? Sit down.
Getting stressed, and then you expect me to get stressed with you? No, but he basically absorbed all of that power that Naraku was generating and was about to blow. He absorbed all of that power and shot it back into the moon. This man caused a crater in the moon. It was giving me heavy Assassination Classroom vibes.
Yo,
yes,
so heavy, and it kind of shook me because, as we know, this is a post-apocalyptic anime. I said, okay, did he just shift the moon? So now we have a whole other problem?
How far is the fucking moon that you were able? Because they showed, it wasn't like, so you know, like in Pokemon and stuff, when it's like Teen Titans rising up again, and they do the little pling in the sky.
Yeah.
They didn't do the little pling in the sky. They showed like the gravel.
Like it was OD. It
made contact. It made contact. I think that was fucking crazy.
It was intense.
Absorbing it, shooting it off, and making contact with the goddamn moon.
Mm-hmm. But ultimately, they were able to subdue Naraku and calm him down, and he was basically left with Hijima. After all that, he was basically left with Hijima, and it basically highlighted that every Adola burst does have a protector, and not necessarily the ones who are with the white clad who have assigned protectors. Shinra's protector is Company 8 and his squad. You know, Naraku's protector happens to be the same person who's torturing him.
Okay.
You know, but each Adola burst is protected by somebody, and so that was actually, it was a really cool aspect. I really don't like that after all that they left Naraku with this man. That child is unhinged. That child is fucking unhinged.
I don't know if the new Tokyo Empire has therapy, but he's gonna need so much of it, because that don't make no sense, because the guy at the end was literally like, come on back to uncle.
He's like, stay weak so I could keep hitting you, and he says, yeah.
I was so surprised that Shinra was okay with that. But he was just so much in his field, in his baggiana, because he was just like, oh, I guess the 8th is my protector. Like, okay, girl, like, yes, they are.
I also think Shinra learned to pick his battles with that one. He said, we just avoided calamity.
You are correct. So
let's
that
just
was
leave
fight
this motherfucker where
that
he lay.
Shinra did lose.
Yo, humble yourself. So after all this extra shit, they things calm down, and we kind of get to see like the ripple effects of all the revelations we've had over the course of season 2. So Iris, who we know is a nun, is basically
The nun, honey.
the nun is basically having second doubts about her religion. She's like, yo, everything that I pray to, everything that I've been doing, everything that I swore my life to,
I am.
she can't even get dick. Like, she.
Oh,
like,
are they those kind of nuns?
I would assume so. I don't know.
Hinaba's getting
but
dick.
I would assume though. Hinaba has them titties out every day, but she looks like one of those ones that you can't touch me. But look, that's her. Like
You don't
that
think she
gets
would
her
give it up
off.
to Shinra?
I think that's what tickles her at night. She's like, oh, all these men fawn over me. Like that helps her, but she's questioning what she swore her life to, and that's all fucking up. And she's basically praying. She went back to like the main temple for the nuns, or basically where they hold a nun cemetery.
Oh, really quick before you get into that, I just want to highlight the significance of Iris questioning her faith, because as they've shown throughout the series, Iris is one of the most devout of the characters that we have met.
Yeah.
Like Eve, like we see after the orphanage where her and her sisters were raised was burned down. We saw Hinaba got unhinged because of that.
She threw all that shit to the wayward. She said, fuck a nun.
Sister
And apparently they gotta go to school and all that stuff for this. She said, fuck all my training. Fuck all that. I'm not with this shit.
She said, a sister who, a sister what? And Iris found solace in the religion after that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what she had until she became part of Company 8. That was what carried her through. So Iris questioning her faith, I think really, well, not highlight, but it really was like,
Shows how far it's fallen. Everything
Yes.
has, how far everything has come.
it's like the people who are like kind of religious. It's like, okay, them questioning it is one thing, but no, Iris is about the book. The good book, okay? Yes,
Yo.
back to the garden.
Right. So they're in the garden and they an inferno sparks up. I don't know if that's the proper term, but he sparks up
combust.
and Shinra ultimately like lays him to rest. And as they're exiting, there's a flash of the first pillar. What we know is the first pillar, but AKA Iris's doppelganger, or the person who's been haunting Shinra, who looks exactly like Iris in crazy form. So that's like super significant to note, because towards the beginning of the series, the first 3 episodes was centered around that character. Like we saw her, she had taken full control over Shinra at one fucking point, and then she sort of vanished and calmed down.
Yeah.
She was brought back up and mentioned, but we haven't seen that person
Yeah, this
form that Adola link or have any sort of connection with Shinra since.
Yeah, so this is the pillar that we assume to be in
Amaterasu.
Amaterasu and fueling Amaterasu. So at first when they showed it, you can see, okay, there's similarities between her and Iris, but they were like, hello in that episode, because when Shinra looked at Iris, that's when he got, like Elijah mentioned, we haven't seen the first pillar for quite some time, and when he looked at Iris, that's when he saw a flash of the first pillar.
All he saw was the first pillar.
Yeah, and it shook him.
Yeah,
Because I think she was riding him piggyback at that time.
And he didn't even do a double take. Like, it shocked him that he was
Yeah.
looking at Iris, and I think I don't forget it, but I think she was like, "Are we good?" Like,
Yes, she had to be like to snap him back out of it. So the implications of that are, I mean, Fire Force does one thing. It's just be disgusting, and I love it. So.
But they've highlighted Iris also several times in the opening sequences where I'm like, okay, what is she gonna do? What is she gonna do in season after season now? She hasn't done much, so I think it's all gonna come to a spare point soon. What's going on with Iris? So another one of the ripples that kind of came about after this was our baby Maki. Our baby Maki made the biggest mistake any adult could do and went to dinner with her family.
Oh,
She went to dinner with her fucking family, and it was all shit from there.
I did find it refreshing that Maki had one of those home lives where it's just like, she had a good home life. Like her family loved her. Because usually when they flash to the home lives, it's like, okay, I'm just glad it wasn't a crack house.
My dad was an infernal, and my mom left.
Yes, or something equally as traumatizing. Maki had a big house. She was like a kept girl, right?
She had an older
her
brother,
dad is
two-parent household.
We're dancing over this. Her dad is the fucking commander
Of the army, yeah.
army, the regular army.
Yes.
So she has a good life, a loving mom, dad, everybody's still alive. Her brother has a good career, and I guess the bad thing that spawns from something like this is the is overprotectiveness.
Right. Well, she's the youngest and the only girl. So she's the baby and the baby girl.
And daddy's girl, yeah.
You know, so it's like, damn. So they view her literally as a dainty flower. Now, if you guys have watched Fire Force at all, season 1, season 2, wherever you want to pop in, Maki is a full-on bodybuilder.
It's a running gag how strong Maki is. Like, it's something they consistently bring up.
Even when she like uses her powers and she like crunches her hands together, it's like, ooh. It's like, yo, Maki will squeeze your head. Like, do you know, if you ever watched Cory in the House back on Disney, there was a guy called the Juicer, and he would like squeeze people's heads. Like, Maki real life probably could do that to your head with just her forearms alone.
Flashing back to the fight they had at Haijima when Maki was fighting the puppeteer, and she was like, oh no. She said, oh no, if I'm fighting her one-on-one, I am at a clear disadvantage, even though I'm a third generation.
Go ahead and keep your distance, baby.
And she said, I cannot gain an inch. Like, I can't gain an inch away from her. She is on me like fly on a shit. Like, it's crazy. So during dinner, obviously they're having casual talk and they're talking about their occupations, and Maki's dad and brother are not here for her role in the Fire Force.
Yeah, at all. At all. They think it's dangerous, and they think their little girl should not be a part of that. Well, dad, their little girl, and his little sister should be a part of that.
She's all their little girl.
Like,
listen,
not
okay.
to mention that Maki's brother was just investigating the Nether and got caught in a whole explosion of his own, set up by the White Clad, of course.
So they already had their doubts, and then after he...
my firstborn son got injured, then my little girl's definitely gonna die. They said, is that where she's been this whole time?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
It's like the shock. They thought the Fire Force was play. They really thought the Fire Force was play, and they were sending her just to go be the secretary over there.
It was insulting, really, because they really did not know what Maki's job consisted of. Because at this point, Maki's been in probably like 5 near-death situations.
Yo.
So... But also, she's one of the strongest members on the team.
In the Fire Force period, I would say, in the beginning when they had to create that tornado, it wasn't a series of
Good point.
second generation pyrokinetics. It was, hey, everybody throw all this fire at Maki and hope that she can catch it, because she's the only one who even has a whim of a freaking chance.
You know why that's a good point? Because when they were doing that, it was mad companies that were there.
Everyone was there.
8th, the first, it was mad companies there, but Maki from Company 8 was the one who had to ultimately funnel everybody's fire to not everybody's fire, the fire from the city that was burning the city, who had to funnel it together. So she's here showing out amongst the squads, period.
You
not
guys
just
should be
Company
proud of me. I'm over here making a
How
name
did y'all
for
miss
us.
that? Was that not on the news?
You better Google me.
For real. Like, damn, Black Clover got newspapers, Yellow got newspapers. Like, what's going on?
So, needless to say, Maki leaving really impacted the 8th. Thank God she wasn't gone for too long.
Well, don't like brush over that. We didn't even mention, like, ultimately their disdain for her being a part of it and their fear for her safety led to them requesting directly to Obi that Maki be returned to them. And like in that verbiage, like that's what they said. Like, return Maki to us.
They wrote it like it was a hostage note. like Maki was being held hostage at Company 8.
Whatever you guys have done to my daughter to get her to think, whatever Stockholm syndrome she's going to, no.
And she didn't want to go. It wasn't. She knew what she was good at and she knew where she wanted to be, but they essentially just wanted her to have a desk job.
Exactly. And
which
like,
is a waste, a fucking waste.
You gotta pick your problems, and I feel like Obi and them did not want problems with the commander of the entire army. Right now, their focus is uniting and getting them to believe half the shit that they're even saying is going on. And it's like, if this motherfucker is now against me, like, what is that gonna have? Yeah. I feel like that's a lot that they didn't say this implicitly, but like, I think that that's what was implied. It's like, you know, I don't think they wanted Maki to go. Maki was their first recruit.
They left the decision to her to not.
They did not.
They did leave it to her. Because she was like, do you really want me to go? And they were just like...
I guess they quote unquote left it to her, but they did everything in their power to make sure she made the choice to leave.
I don't think so.
She asked him straight up, the person who recruited her, Hinawa, she said, do you not believe in me anymore? And he said, no.
Well, he doesn't have to.
The whole reason she believed in herself, she thought all she could be was a secretary. He's the one who came. When Obi said, yo, do you have anyone in mind? He said, I have this one girl. She doesn't believe in herself, but I do. And now you pulled your belief? You pulled your belief from me? It's so so sad. Don't you dare belittle that, because I feel like that was the
I'm
turning
not
point. Fuck
belittling
Obi.
it. I think that's why
it was
she left
Hinawa.
ultimately, but they didn't tell her, Maki, you gotta go.
I think they didn't get to the point where they were gonna tell her she had to go. Because you know how
They was
Obi
not gonna tell
operates.
Papa
Obi would have
Boots
said
no.
it at family dinner that night, like, yo, I got this letter, but we ain't doing shit about it. Fuck these motherfuckers. But no, he said, yo, Hinawa, can you come into my office? I said, damn. Damn. So Maki eventually leaves and has to become the secretary for the army again. And
Working
that's
right with
what's
Papa
fucked
Bear.
up. And part 2 of that letter that her father sent to them was them requesting that they have a joint mission with Company 2 to go back into the Nether and investigate what the fuck is going on in there, because they have reason to believe that that's where the White Clad is operating out of.
So as we've mentioned before, Company 8 is the smallest company out of all the Fire Force squads. So Company 2 has a lot of expendable comes to mind.
They have a lot of members.
They have a lot of warm bodies.
Yeah. But no, literally, like, when they showed Company 2, like, prepping for this, I'm just like, wow, they are really blatantly setting them up for slaughter. Like, I felt it. Like, because you could feel when a crazy battle is about to happen. And when they showed Company 2, and I'm like, they were showing us the characters and giving us some backstories, but I'm like, no, you're giving us these backstories just so we could feel a little bad.
Because the thing about Fire Force is that I enjoy but also have found irritating as of late is that they have no problems killing off characters, which is refreshing because a lot of shows just do the gravely injured thing. No, Fire Force is like, well, we're gonna cut his fucking head off so you know that he's dead.
Yikes.
Like, there's not, they do grave injuries where sometimes it's like, is he, ain't he? But a lot of their things is just like, if you're questioning if that person is dead, they're probably dead.
Yeah.
Because Fire Force, they don't care.
And like, they only care about if you're significant to the plot line. Like, we've seen Shinra get gravely injured. He's gonna survive.
Yeah.
Shinra ain't gonna die. We've seen Obi get pretty banged
We
up.
saw Arthur got pretty hurt too.
Like, these people right now, what other plasma user do they have?
Tamaki got her face stomped in season 1.
Yeah, Tamaki got her face stomped in season 2. Like, I don't think that's neither here nor there. Tamaki always get her face stomped in. So basically, they launched this mission to explore the Nether, and they split off all of Company 2's many members with 1 or 2 of Company 8's members. So there's like, I don't know, like many groups. They split off into many groups because the Nether is basically like, I don't know, New York City subway system.
It's a very intricate underground tunnel.
Yeah, very underground tunnel. They have different rooms, different cataclysms. Because on top of that, it's like a train. It looks like the trains, but then they also end up in like different rooms and stuff that don't look like platforms.
But you know, like where I think it is you know the person who the dispatcher would sit. So like they have like offices and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably offices and like break rooms and shit like that.
That has since been remodeled by the White Clad to be done, used for terror. Or whatever experiments they were doing underground.
So once we separate into our little groups, we see that this ultimately was a trap by the White Clad to get as many of the Special Fire Force members into there as possible.
They start setting shit off.
Shit hits the fucking fan.
At the same time, I'm just like, this does, like, after they explained it, I'm like, yeah, that did seem very trappy.
Yeah.
Like, there's just one random explosion. You don't even know what exploded or why. And I'm like, I guess that's why you would do reconnaissance, but they
saw one White Clad member and there was an explosion and they said, let's mobilize 2 full companies to go down here. And as Shanice saw, we saw somebody get beheaded. We saw Tamaki get her ass beaten.
Juggernaut lost his right arm, but his right hand and left foot.
Yeah.
And at first I had hope because I know, like, in modern day science, I think if you get the appendage soon enough, you could stick it back together. But then we saw that I think the lieutenant from Company 1, he lost his arm and he never got that shit back. So I'm just like, God damn, like, that's
what's about to happen to my son Juggernaut?
I don't think he's gonna get those appendages back, which is, I mean, I guess he got away with his life, but
yo, if there's one thing to say about what this little Nether arc did, is it forced our characters to level up or feel like they need to level the fuck up, because the White Clad had such a plan laid out for them. They said, okay, they're probably going to break off into groups. Let's break off into groups too. And let's send our strongest people. We don't just have our protectors. We actually have a battle unit of the White Clad, referred to as the Knights of the Purple Haze, under the leadership of Inca's protector, who is a necromancer. Her name is Rika. Ritsu. Oh my god. I think I have Rekka on the mind. But Ritsu, they basically are attacking each of our units, and they have like, it feels like they have limited members, but they basically sent 2 out to each unit, and it feels like that was enough to wreak some extremely detrimental havoc on our companies. Well, on Company 2.
They just had to kill enough people that Ritsu could use her pyrokinetic ability to take them over, and then they were using their members against them. Fully like the Night King from Game of Thrones, like his deal.
But yeah, ultimately, like, the goal of the White Clad was to lure them in here so they could have strong enough corpses for her to take care of, for her to reanimate, so that they could cause an explosion that would essentially sink a huge, even bigger, the sink majority of the new freaking Tokyo Empire.
The entire thing. Like, they said it was going to take the entire thing. So she just needed enough bodies to make herself a human bomb. She's a sick fuck.
Right. Like, not herself, to make them. She didn't blow up.
To make a human bomb.
Oh, I thought you said to make herself a human bomb.
No, just to make a human bomb.
Oh, okay,
human bomb.
Okay. I was like, I don't think she's that crazy. Like,
but then that's also
they all seem crazy enough to kill everybody else but themselves and leave us all alone.
But then that's also dumb to me, because once they sink the whole Tokyo Empire, you're there. That's where you are. But then they're probably the types who would sacrifice themselves for the cause.
Why are you looking for logic in members of the Knights of the Ashen Flame?
I just don't get why you would do that.
They're batshit fucking crazy. So
they're all fully prepared for like this new world order.
And it's like, what's going on?
And it's like they're all by any means. That's what their motto is, by any means.
So ultimately, the White Clad has every intention of setting this fucking bomb all the way the fuck off. And it's only Maki who is able to make her way into the Nether and save our asses for like the umpteenth freaking time. And ultimately show her brother, who is sitting down there with basically a variation of Maki's ability and not able to help us at all. She showed him what it's really like. Maki became Professor McGonagall.
Oh, thank you for that assessment.
Like, she is a full-on witch, and the way they animated that, the way they showed her, it was like, yo, we knew you were important, but the way you just came and beasted, it didn't look as hard as I thought it was gonna look. Like, the explosion of hundreds of corpses.
Like how they did it the first time when she funneled the flame.
Yeah, when she funneled the flame, she was chilling.
At the end, they were probably just like, okay, like, we already showed y'all that Maki is that bitch, so just imagine what she did the first time, but underground.
She looked like she was chilling. She said, this ain't even nothing. I'm used to controlling these kind of flames, baby. Nice to meet you.
She turned it into a little sputter.
Like,
she made it all cute and stuff.
You sure love that.
Another face that popped up while we were in the Nether was Dr. Giovanni, who was getting his rocks off because he formed an Adola link with Shinra. So Shinra drew the connection that if what Giovanni experienced with him was an Adola link, he also established a Adola link with Conro during his fight in Asakusa. That was in season 1. So with this knowledge, Shinra goes back to Company 7 to talk to Conro a little bit more about why he thinks this was and what establishes these Adola links with people who aren't Adola Burst users, because that's usually how the links are formed.
Mm-hmm. Well, to what we've come to understand, that's how the links are supposed to be fucking formed.
Yes.
But they want to jumble up something that's already jumbled. It's crazy. But of course, when Shinra gets there, something that we've been barking on my mans for doing the entire time is not training, like not really coming up with anything new. So while you're in Company 7's presence, you better hit up fucking Benimaru and ask him, what is my next steps? And they do exactly that. And guess who tags along? Our little useless baby, Tamaki. Tamaki popped up in there and said, please train me.
She's a nun, okay? She does the prayer when Iris isn't there.
We don't need 2 nuns at Company 8. There's only 6 of us. So we need fighters at this point.
As we saw in that second fight in the beginning, when they had Iris running all over the place, ping, 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 ping. We can't put them to rest until there's a nun here.
Okay, but how about we bring in Company 1, or is it Company 2? No, Company 1 that is essentially a church. Why don't you guys come fucking help us while we have Iris here
they're
puttering out?
busy.
We have 3 third generations. Okay? We need to keep it up. We need to keep our third generations on the field. Tamaki doesn't need to be running around praying. Okay? She don't need to be running around fucking praying for nobody. So she comes there and she essentially wants to boost herself because she's tired of being a detriment to the team. She's tired of being a damsel in distress. Every time she's out on the field, she holds her own for about 3.5 seconds and then she's on her back praying for Shinra, Obi, somebody to come and save her. And it's so
Usually
sad.
Shinra, yeah.
And so she finally has an awakening. She leveled up in a way that I think was really, really cool, and a way that I was able to appreciate it without it being in a battle. She was basically playing a fun game of tag with the 2 annoying little girls from Company 7 who are batshit crazy.
Shimon's little pit bull puppies.
Pit bull pups. And she remembered her willingness to want to be like a cat, and that's what her third generation abilities have always manifested, and she always looks very cat-like, and that, I don't know, triggered her to dive deeper into whatever fuels her power. She was remembering shit from back in the day when people, because she has whatever charm associated with her that makes her nude.
It was very therapeutic growth because we saw her like confronting like mentally the things that held her back, because she was like, one of the things that Shimon asked her when she got there was like, okay, well, why did you become a Fire Force soldier? And as she's battling or playing with the little girls, she's thinking like, oh, well, my parents told me to do this. Like, everyone told me to join Company 1 because Company 1 was the company to be in. Everyone told me to idolize Rekka because he was the guy to idolize. And she's like, well, what about it was Tamaki's decision? What about it did Tamaki want to do? And she was confronting her traumas, I guess, or what held her back. She was confronting the things that held her back and dismantling them one by one. And we literally saw, like, as she was going through the thought process, she got stronger and stronger. So I too really enjoyed her growth.
So while baby girl Tamaki is playing her nice little game of tag, Shinra and Arthur are undergoing this vigorous training, essentially to unlock what is known in the Fire Force world as hysterical strength.
That apparently Obi is a master of.
Yo, and only Obi. Yo, that even Benny Maru gives him his props. Benny Maru's like, yo, this is the type of man we all should want to be. It's just so sad. Like, imagine if Obi was a fucking pyrokinetic.
I think he'd be too much of a...
And he wouldn't be who he is now. Because that probably came. Yeah, that came because he's like, okay, I can't do what these people do, so I have to be better in this way physically.
Good point.
So he didn't have it, so he wouldn't have been the same person.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But it's like, blah. But he has Benny Maru's respect in that regard. And hysterical strength is basically the ability of, I don't know, what is it, your trump card?
Like surpassing your limits, like when you fight after pain, like when you're at the gym and you know like your muscles are done, like you can't do another set and you push yourself and you're like one more set, and then you start, when you go into like overdrive, like when you
it's like runner's high.
Yeah,
like when runners say like you get tired, but then all of a sudden you hit that high where you know what, you could just keep going for fucking hours,
and you
it's
know
basically that
if you do stop, you probably are gonna pass out.
Collapso.
Yeah.
So they're training for this, and what this training fucking consists of is these motherfuckers' bodies being pushed to their absolute minute. He had them barbecuing like pigs, tied up hands and feet, getting burned. He forgot them tied up, looking like they've been crucified. Like, he had them burning at the stake for mad long, training them, beating their asses, snapping Arthur's neck.
He drugged them through the streets by their ankles. Like whores in biblical times, like how they punished adulterers.
To be stoned by the villagers.
Yeah.
It's like a tragedy, for real, for real. So all this to finally see at the very, very end of it, they are both able to unlock that potential. And what it does is it changes the hue of their flames. And then an ass kicking.
Did you mention the ass kicking?
Yeah, he beat there. I told him they broke Arthur's neck. You know, like. But their flames switched from a red that was consuming all their oxygen to a calm blue that burned hotter than any other flame they had produced before. This looks super, super, super like Ultra Instinct Goku to me. Like when he was learning to use that, first of all, like he was generating all this steam and the heat of it was affecting even the gods in the arena. So there's something about that blue hue that is just so super dope. And I actually mentioned it in our last 5 when we were talking about the ongoing series, that they had this in the series, but it was Shinra's mother who was red and then turned blue. And as it turns out, the memory that triggered Shinra to enter this hysterical state was the memory of course, Sho and his mother the night that they were taken away from him, and his will to want to protect them and right all the wrongs that's been is what triggered him to form these flames. So in a way, his mom is what triggered his flames to turn from red to blue.
He said, "I never want this to happen again." Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that was just super fucking dope to see, and it irks my soul that it happened at the very last 10 minutes of the very last episode of season 2 that we got to see them unlock this new potential, because me and Shay have been looking forward to this for a hot dang minute. Like, Shinra was tea. So that wraps up what happens for the remainder of Fire Force season 2. It was a good ride, y'all. It was a great ride, and it's a tragedy. But as we come to a close on this season, we have to re-up on some of our accolades that we gave Fire Force after we did season 2. So we are going to be giving... season 1. So we're going to be giving these guys a new character you fuck with, because we had a standout.
We got to update. Just update a few things.
Yeah, we had a standout character. Shay, do you want to announce our MVP?
So and this is, I think, the first time, like, so we've had characters that we both fuck with before, but we usually pick different characters, but this time it was unanimous, the character who stood out amongst the rest. I feel like I'm giving an award at a middle school graduation.
Yeah.
But this character was consistently amazing throughout the entire season 2, and that character is Maki. I was gonna say Tamaki, but no.
Yeah, I'm like, who?
was Maki from episode 1. In all of the battles, Maki consistently showed why she is that bitch, and why they picked her why they hand selected her, why she was the 3rd crewman to be selected for Company motherfucking 8, okay? Because she is a 2nd generation, and Maki easily claps the 3rd generation users. She's strong. She's like a mixture of Obi and... I don't know who else, because I don't know who else has like her level of
I would just
skill.
say Obi. I would have.
Yeah. I was trying to find somebody who was like a really good fire manipulator.
Company 1.
Maybe Ogun.
No, not
maybe like Ogun, because he was good with like how he manipulated his flames. Whatever. Okay.
I guess.
So
Maki just epitomizes what a fucking season 2 should do. You come in here and you level the fuck up. I feel like in between season 1 and season 2, Maki was in the damn gym training. Okay, Maki had sputter and flare in the owl devices that Vulcan did. She was training new maneuvers, and we saw it too. Vulcan was like, okay, have them enter this mode. Have them do this. Have them do that. She's like, okay, boom, got it. Let's put them to max power. Maki literally maxes herself out each and every time, and I feel like she's like a fucking Saiyan, where after every battle, her power then increases once she's healed.
What I like about Maki is that she easily can combat 3rd generation users. So
you just said that?
Oh, did I say that already? Well, I find this so
amazing. She really likes that Maki can beat up the 3rd generations.
No, she does. Because I just remember her clapping at the puppet girl, and baby was shook. She was not prepared for the beating that she was about to get. I was like, I don't know, girl, what to tell you. She's that bad.
Yo, and just the fact that we got a little bit more of her backstory so we understand what happened. We knew she was a military brat, but as far as I knew, thought that she was actually a soldier. But it turns out that she was a secretary, and her parents just didn't want her in harm's way in any way, shape, or form.
Her dad.
Yeah, her dad. So to highlight the fact that Maki is literally the most clutch person on Company 8 right now, besides Obi, the most clutch pyrokinetic on Company 8, it's like, this is incredible. So kudos to you. You definitely held it down this season, and I can't wait to see what the fuck happens in seasons to come. Or season.
Stop. So we are going to introduce a segment that's exclusive to this episode, and it's called Shinra, What Happened? If Maki was the most valuable player this season, Shinra was arguably the least.
Yikes.
He Shinra has not been back to training since season 1, episode 11, when he went to train with Benimaru. And I was being facetious just in case anybody goes to look that up. I can't remember the episode, but it was in season 1. He has not been back to train. Shinra has not had a come up. It gets irritating because Shinra consistently thinks that he's a one-trick pony. He consistently thinks that the same shit that he's been doing is gonna help him in every single battle. And it's like, baby, you're supposed to level up.
Right. It's like he strictly relies on his speed every single time. Flames come out of my feet, I'm gonna projectile myself as fast as I can and kick you in the face.
What I don't understand is that Shinra, you see that you're fighting newer enemies. Like, yes, that works fine for Infernals. It may even work fine for some Infernal demons. Arguably, because
no,
I said some.
I said no.
None of them.
I don't. An infernal demon.
Well, I was thinking about the big one, from episode 1, because that one he was able to like.
With the help of the entire
company. But he was able to kick through its heart
after they removed its arms and legs.
I said arguably.
It wasn't just Shinra's ability.
I said arguably. There may be some stipulations.
And I said no.
There may be some stipulations, but he can get it done. But Shinra, you're fighting new people. Like, you can't use the same trick that you're using to fight regular Infernals, to fight the White Clad, to fight the Protectors, to fight the infernal demon that they met in the Oasis that could talk, that had high intelligence. You cannot keep using the same thing over and over again with these people. And again, back to the White Clad. Guess what? They fought you before, sweetie. They know what you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why do you keep showing up to the range with the same weapon? Learn something from this.
And in addition to that, like, he keeps hopping into these fights using the same moves when there's a lot more at stake now than it was in season 1. We have Adola Burst waking up left and fucking right, okay? You want to save them all, Shinra, but you don't have that ability. So one of the biggest L's that he took this season is that he lost not 1, but 2 Adola Bursts. Both of which he kind of knew it was happening. They're like, okay, there's an Adola Burst going to be awakening here. He was able to get to Inca a little late. And then when it came down to Naruto, he knew what was up. He knew this kid was more than likely an Adola Burst. You got there in time. You formed the Adola Bank the minute you stepped on that property.
The kid wanted help. Like,
the kid was begging for help. This one probably would have went with you. And then you leave him behind. It's like, Shinra, what happened to your goals? Because at this point, all they need to do is hijack Hajime. I don't think it's going to take too much for the White Clad to go and get Naruto if they want. Like, they're not even counting him right now. They're just saying, all we have left is Shinra, because he's not even a problem to get him out of these people's hands. They're just worried about you and your fighting. You're going to be kicking and screaming like a damn kidnapped child. Right. You're going to be going off. So it's just a really sad thing to see Shinra, who's somebody whose fight style I actually enjoy so much seeing, that they kind of limited it. If we saw in some of his earlier fights when he was going against Rekka, he was doing like spin moves on the floor, multi kicks to the face, all these things. Now he's literally just shooting himself out like a projectile and getting one good kick to the face before you take him out. Like, he's like, yo, let me put all my power into one thing and that's it. And it's like, yo, you have so much potential.
Why not learn how to harness that power that you were using against Sho in the first season? My goodness, you could disappear. Like, you can break down the molecules of your body. And I understand why that was dangerous. And Lick told you, hey, maybe don't do that. But why is that something that you didn't try to practice or learn how to control or learn how to hone? Maybe you can't do it too much in succession, but like once or twice in a fight, you know, I want to see you disappear and then reappear in the middle of somebody's body.
What the fuck? He's not the Flash.
I want you to discombobulate organs. Like, practice. You have all of the tools. Just fucking practice. You over here taking advice from fucking Obi.
Doing prey sessions with Iris. Like, you're not doing what you need to be doing. And lastly, Shinra, do you even still have a little fucking brother? Where's Sho? Where is Sho?
Shinra has not
all these other Adola Bursts. Fuck every other Adola Burst that you're trying to protect. Why don't you figure out that every time you see Sharon, every time you see Haumea, where's my brother?
Why are you not pressing them?
Where the fuck is my brother?
You should have went.
Sho used to be at every link up, and now he's not here no more.
Oh my god!
Why hasn't it crossed up like, okay, your commander is not coming anymore? What's going on here?
You should have, when Haumea set off Nautiku and they were they disappeared through the portal, you needed to be like a spider monkey on their back and follow them back into the hideout.
Where you go, I'm going. You needed to be, literally, that's when your 4th generation ability comes in handy.
You had a lot of
talk.
Use
the speed of light to get into that portal.
You had a lot of talk season 1 talking about, I'm going to get you, show. I'm coming for you, show. I understand these things take time. I do. I really do. But you're worried about the wrong things.
Yo, life said humble yourself. Life said humble yourself. And Shinra said, you know what? I'm going to leave that little boy alone until he shows his face to me again. And that's that on that. But overall this season, it was so sad. It was like, Shinra, what happened? Because your potential was supposed to multiply. All protagonists are a little annoying, but paired with all your L's, you being annoying, you not accomplishing your goals or taking the real steps, I felt like shit just went so much more to shit this season with Shinra just letting it happen. Like, you see how like he's like a cockroach in the toilet being flushed down. Just nothing he could do, just going in the circle. Whoa! Whatever happens, happens. So poor Shinra.
Not poor Shinra, because all Shinra needed to do was train. You should.
Poor Shinra for me, I like him.
Is at Company 8 every other day and on the weekends from 2 to 4. And you don't ask him for nothing. You don't ask him for no advice, no help, no training. You don't ask him to book you a session with Benimaru. You don't ask for nothing,
I was like,
Shinra.
Conroy ain't doing nothing but booking him the session with Benimaru.
No, but I'm saying, but Benimaru's the one who trained Conroy. I mean, Conroy trained Benimaru, so I'm sure that there would have been some kind of knowledge that he could have imparted in Shinra. Even if he was just like, hey, baby, you know, do these yoga poses in the morning. Shinra asked for nothing. He asked for nothing.
I will support that. But I will say he doesn't need yoga poses. He doesn't need rock signs. He needs some physical training that Benimaru gave that ass. He said, I'm going to beat you till you're black and blue and then beat you some more. And that's exactly the kind of training that Shinra and especially Arthur's Imagination Land looking ass. And that's what they needed. Yo, but that concludes the Shinra. What happened? Next up, we're going to lock that bitch in for season 3 of Fire Force. This is absolutely crazy to say that we're locking in for season 3. I feel like we just locked in for season 2.
And we've seen, hopefully it's not true, but we've seen speculations that this might be the last season. So that would affect my lock that bitch in, because it's just like, dang, if they're about to wrap everything with a bow.
Yeah, well, the manga's ending. It's been confirmed that the manga's ending, and based off how far it's going to be going, where it ends, it looks like they only have about 1 season of content left. So it's about to hit the fan next season. I'm pretty sure my diaper is going to be wet the entire time. But for the first lock that bitch in, I think I'm going to have to say that Show is going to come full circle over to Company 8's side. I think, like, I was a little skeptical about this based off how season 1 ended, but something that we did see in season 2 towards the very end is that Show was in fact being brainwashed, as we said, but they're actually treating him like shit. I thought they were just going to brainwash him but still treat him like the Adola burst that he is, but they kind of threw him into Haumea's den and they're letting her have her way servitude with him. Like, it's yo, let me say what I'm saying without you sexualizing. They like Haumea is really just having her way with him and doing whatever, using him as her human doll, playing dress up with him, putting makeup on him, and they're treating him like crap. So I think now he finally has a reason on this end, or he might have always had this reason, but we haven't seen it. But now he has a reason to be like, okay, I'm not having it good here, and I actually have a real family on the outside who wants to be there for me and take care of me. I think once he has that second reconnect with Shinra and Shinra works his talk no jutsu on him, he is going to fully convert over to that side. I'm also just going to double down on what I said previously, because if season 3 is going to be the last season, hopefully we see this. But I'm going to double down that the Adola Burst and the White Clad members are all in the dark right now. They don't know what the Evangelist's real plan is. They think they're just going to bring it over the next Cataclysm. But I don't know if they're going to bring everyone into Adola or some bigger plan that's happening. But I think that everyone is being kept into dark as to what the true plan is. Because this shit's been going on for hundreds of years. The Evangelist ain't no new bitch. Like, this plan has been formulating over the course of a century plus. So
I mean, tight if you gotta detonate your plan in my lifetime. You can't wait till I kick the bucket.
Like, please wait till after my lifetime. My kids, my grandkids, either or. Wait till I'm gone. But that's my lock that bitch in.
For my lock that bitch in, I kind of went on a tangent with this one. So it's a lot. So let me see. My lock that bitch in is that. So we saw that Iris most likely is a doppelganger of the first pillar who is fueling Amaterasu. So what I think is gonna happen is that Iris and her doppelganger will have to fight because that's what they're saying is the gist of the doppelgangers. There can only be one. So I think that Iris and her doppelganger is gonna fight. I think that the doppelganger is gonna kill Iris and then live as Iris. And I think that's how the show is gonna end. Because I don't think it's gonna be happy endings. I think they're gonna leave us with enough that it's like, yeah, this crazy bitch is still out here. Everything else, like, we'll foil the evangelist's plan and do all that, obviously, but I think that they're gonna leave us with that wink that says,
yo,
but one of them is still out there.
Because if the first pillar is actually her doppelganger, it's interesting to me because I feel like that would mean that Iris should have some sort of pyrokinetic ability, because when we see Conroe went against that infernal demon who was his doppelganger, their flames on their shoulders were identical.
It mimicked him, yeah.
They were identical. So we already know the first pillar obviously has flames. So does that then mean that Iris will produce her flame? She just hasn't triggered it, hasn't awoken, whatever happened. Is that pole that she was holding on to in the opening of the beginning of season 1, is that what triggers her flames? Is there some sort of seal that sealed her doppelganger's fate? I don't know if you guys ever watched Vampire Diaries, but there are like curses and things that have been passed on through generations of doppelgangers. Listen, fuck you if you haven't. Vampire Diaries is a good show. But I wonder what the correlation and how far they're going to go with this doppelganger theory. I think it's interesting.
So last but not least, we are going to do our updated Nani ratings for Fire Force. It's going to be quick for me. I loved Fire Force. Everything about season 2 gave me everything that I wanted, and any constructive criticism I had from season 1, I feel like was proactively resolved in season 2.
Yeah.
So like I remember one of the things we went over was them like introducing like these complicated theories but not going into full explanation about like how they worked, like the Adolas, the Adola Link, the Adola Burst users, and they dived into that in season 2, provided more explanation, and the bad guys reiterated it, so if they're saying it, they're the ones fucking shit up, so that it's right and it's not just speculation. It's not the good guys speculating, is this or is that? Mm-hmm. No, like the bad guys are telling you that's what going on. So I'm bumping Fire Force up to a 9 from a 7.8 in season 1. I was thoroughly impressed. It's just that Shin as a protagonist wasn't doing it for me. Maybe he'll have some great reawakening in season 3, but I enjoyed season 2 very much.
Awesome sauce. For me, Fire Force season 2, like Shay, we enjoyed it. We've been gushing about this shit for a hot minute now, but season 2 honestly did not take its foot off of our necks, and that's what I appreciate out of a season 2. I don't want you guys to start on a high note, finish on a low note. I feel like they gave us just the right amount of everything. They started us with filler episodes and they ended us with filler episodes, and I didn't mind either because they're always giving you pivotal information. The only qualm I have is that I have to wait a fuck another year until I could see what happens in season 3. So with that being said, I am bumping Fire Force up, I think, from an 8 to an 8.5. They were really cool. I still have my qualms with characters. I still don't like Arthur. I was extremely disappointed in Tamaki, but overall, this plot and this action, like, what the absolute fuck? And I had said in one of the episodes previously that I wish they would keep this going for seasons on seasons on seasons. So to get this knowledge, like, we just found this shit out like today, that season 3 is potentially the last season. I am literally like, what am I going to do? The despair that is filling my void right now.
Fire Force is one of those shows, if they do cap it at season 3, I can't see them doing more than 30 episodes. So that means that it would be a series that's less than 100 episodes. I would fully rewatch it from start to finish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, so extra, so good, such good plot, such good characters. And we'll see. Season 3, let's see if season 3 gets them up to a 10. Because I feel like they're prepping everybody. Arthur and Shinra got that awakening into, like, hyper instinct.
We love to see it. We love to see it.
Tamaki got her level up. Everyone's getting her level up. Everyone is doing it. That bitch. They're about to enter a whole new level of battles. And I'm petrified. I'm fucking petrified.
Yep. So that wraps up today's episode of the Nani Network. Thank you guys for listening to us, and let's hear your ratings. We know we're not the only ones with an opinion, so sound off under this episode's Live Now pick on our Instagram at Official Nani Network. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe anywhere you can. We'll talk to you later.
Laters, guys.